Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
I was leaving the gym late at night going to my car, and there was my car and then someone else beside my car. A lady standing there at my driver's seat at her passenger seat. As soon as I left, a guy started walking right behind me. He was waiting like outside the gym. He was like right on my shoulder, right? So I'm like, I can't turn around. He's gonna friggin' stab me. They were looking at each other and I'm like, they're gonna snatch me. They're gonna take me into their car when I go over there. She's hanging out by my driver's door so that I go to my driver's door and they can snatch me away. I can't turn around, buddy's right on my shoulder. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I walked up to my car, I unlocked it, and I hopped in the back seat in the passenger side. And then I locked it as soon as I got it. Like as soon as I open the door, I lock it and slide in, right? And they look at each other. They reach for my door handle, they give it a wiggle, and it was locked, so they couldn't get in. They just looked at each other and got in their car and booked it. I'm like, I think I just almost got kidnapped there. I live in a small town, so there was no one else in the parking lot. Still like super confused. I think I almost got kidnapped.
Tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
So this is a story that I've shared on here before, but the fact that it even happened, it's so crazy to me that I'm gonna go ahead and share it again. So one night I decided to stop by the store to pick up some wine. I get my wine and I walk back to my car. I'm sitting in my car just looking at my phone. I'm looking something up when out of my peripheral vision I see this man walking straight towards my car. So me at an instinct, I go ahead and I hit the lock button. He grabs the handle trying to open the car door. So I'm looking at him like, are you lost? Like, wrong car. So then he starts banging on my window. He had something in his hand and like a paper bag that he's using to bang on my window. At this point I go to back out because I'm like, I need to go. When I go to back out, there's a black SUV behind me blocking me from being able to leave. Now I'm panicking. So I start beeping the horn like really loud, trying to draw as much attention as I can. Thankfully it worked and there was people coming out of the store that saw what was going on. The man ran off and the black SUV drove off. Never get too careful, this happened like a block away from my house.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life. Tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
My ex-boyfriend and I had just been on a date, and it was our second date, and he took me all the way home on like buses, trains. We just wanted to hang out, basically. That's what we were doing. So we'd got on this bus which was going to take me to a station that was near where I live. As we get off the last bus, there was a guy waiting at the bus stop and he had a t-shirt over his face, right? So you could just kind of see his eyes, but it was like wrapped around his head. Me being me was like, oh hi, by the way, this was the last bus. There's not going to be another bus after this, so maybe you want to find an alternative way to get home. He was like, okay, thank you, whatever, but stayed at the bus stop where me and my ex-boyfriend were ordering our Ubers home. He was going back to his house, I was going back to my house. And I did think it was kind of weird that he was just still waiting around, that he hadn't like made any effort to like get himself home. He just stayed at the bus stop with us. My ex-boyfriend's cab came a minute before mine, so I was like, just get in it, it's fine, it's a minute, like who cares? You've come all this way with me, just get in your cab. I have to do part two. Okay, this is my part two. My boyfriend was honestly very like reluctant to get in the cab. He didn't want to leave me on my own, but I was like, mate, literally it's not a big deal. I could see on my Uber app where the cab was, like it was close, it was fine. So he gets in his cab and I decide I'm just going to cross the road just so that this guy was kind of like looking at me. I just thought I would cross. So I cross and I'm waiting for my Uber there. This guy then crosses the road from where we were both standing before to come and stand with me, hysterically laughing the whole time. Just like laughing, like evil laughing. And obviously my head is doing 1,000 things. Like I'm a woman. I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what like a million things. He says to me, what's your name? I say, Jessica. He says to me, you from around here? I said, yes. It was a safe distance from where I'm actually from. But I just wanted him to think that I knew the area. He then said like, oh, my name is whatever, but they call me this. I don't remember what it was. And he was getting very close to the point where he was about this far away from me. Like, literally standing so close to me. I'm going to have to do part 3. Sorry. Okay, this is my part 3. So, because he was standing so close to me, all I was thinking is that I just need to get some distance. Because he can't have good intentions being so close to me, all up in my space. So, I knew that I just had to get some distance between us. This was like 2 o'clock in the morning. There was like really no one around. But a car pulled up to the end of the road. And so I said to him, hey, I don't have my glasses on, so could you check that that's my Uber? This was not a Prius, this was not an Uber looking car. It was literally just like a family car, like it was like a little purple family car. So I was like, it's not my Uber, but I'm just going to make him walk that way a little bit so I can at least run and knock on a door. So I said, yeah, go check, the number plate is like XYZ, whatever. He comes back and is like, nah, it's not your car. And I knew it wasn't going to be the car, so I just kind of was like, okay, next phase of the plan. And I just got this feeling. And I look him dead in his eye and I went, I don't believe you. And I walked all the way to the car. It was my Uber. I get in the car. He's ran to catch up with me. And as I'm about to close the door, he goes, it's a shame you're a smart girl. Then he ran after the car, shouting and screaming.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
Okay.
I had to mentally prepare myself to tell the story. But I was ditched at a party, walked home, bad decision, walked through an alley, and I noticed that it was a very long alley, and I noticed this guy trailing behind me. I paid no never mind to it. I was drunk, and I was heading home. And then before I knew it, his hand was over my mouth, and a sharp object on my side. And he really pushed it really hard into my side, and I knew it was a knife. And he said, "Don't fucking scream or I'm gonna fucking kill you." And then he starts grabbing me all over on my breast and my groin, and he was trying to take off my pants. So all of a sudden there was this voice in my head that says, "Act like you're liking it. Act like you're liking it." So that's what I did. I act like I liked it. And then he just miraculously, he quit. And he freaking walked me home. And I pretended like I liked it. And he miraculously quit. He stopped what he was doing. It was almost like he came to his senses, and he started talking to me. And I was still really drunk, and he started asking me, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going home." And he goes, "Oh, well, I'll walk you the rest of the way home." And at that point, I knew he still had a knife, and I knew I'm pretty sure he was capable of fucking using it. And I was so scared, and I said, "Okay, I just live over here." So he walked me home all the way to my freaking door. And I was so scared because he knew where I lived. But I never saw him after that. Thank God.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
So the year is 2015, and I am walking back from Lollapalooza to the train station. I realized at some point in time that there are these guys across the street, and they keep kind of yelling at me and like saying things, but I just kind of ignored them. At some point in time, I realized that they're walking parallel to me. And after the fourth or fifth time I look over at them, I realize that they're not there anymore. So I do a 360 just to make sure that I'm not completely alone, and I wasn't, because they were about a block behind me. I get into the train station, and like a beacon of God, these two girls are coming down the escalator. They're about my age, and they look totally normal. And I run up to one of them, and I'm like, "Oh my God, Jessica, I haven't seen you since soccer camp." I don't know a Jessica that went to soccer camp, do you? And these girls went along with it. They picked right up on it. This was 2015. This was before we started to have some of these conversations, and they went right with me. The two guys turned around and they left the train station, and those girls may have saved my life.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
So I used to dog sit this dog who was really well trained. The simple stuff, stay, heel, sit, lie down, roll over, play dead, whatever. But he also had an attack command. So I'm dog sitting. I was staying over at that house because they were out of town for a while. It's 3 a.m. I'm asleep. And I wake up to hearing the dog growling. So I sit up and I look around, and then I hear the door handle jiggle. And I was like, "Oh no." And then I hear the window rattle. So I throw myself out of bed. I open the kennel for the dog. I get him by the collar, and I go into the living room. And I just kind of announced, "There's a dog." I heard the window start to slide open. So I said it again. I was like, "There's a dog." I turn on the lights. I see just a dude in the fucking window. So I give this dog the attack command, let go of his collar. He goes flying across the room. And I have never heard a grown man scream like that before. It was horrifying.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
Okay, so it wasn't my life, it was another girl's, but honestly, this shit was wild. So this was when I was back in college, and I remember I was with a group of friends, and we were bar hopping, so we were walking around neighborhoods and stuff, and then all of a sudden I hear someone behind me running. I think it's a dude because I'm paranoid as fuck because we have to be, we're women, and I turn around and I realize it's a girl. For some reason, I just had this gut feeling that something was horribly wrong, so I snatched her by her arm and I went, "Oh my God, hey girl, I've been looking for you all night. Where have you been?" Pretending I knew her. This poor thing with tears in her eyes looks at me and goes, "Dude, I was hooking up with this guy and I really didn't want to, and then he went to go grab a condom and I didn't know what to do, so I jumped out the window and just started running." I walked that girl 5 miles home and tucked her into her bed in her dorm safe and fucking sound. Pussy power, ladies. Make sure we're protecting each other out here, okay?
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
Ooh boy, this one's a doozy. In college, I went to a party with my best friend. It was in an apartment building on the 2nd floor. This is going to be important in a minute. She met up with her boyfriend there. I met up with a guy that I was literally just dating. I think I had been on 1 date with him previously. And he started drinking a few beers, and he was getting really handsy, and it was making me really uncomfortable. He was forcing me to sit in his lap. He was yanking me down by my arm, forcing me to sit in his lap. And he was getting increasingly hostile and angry as the night went on. I knew he was not going to let me leave, and nobody at the party was paying very much attention to how disgusting and weird he was being. So I grabbed my best friend and went out on the balcony with her. I told him that we were going to go have girl talk for a minute. I quite literally said to her, "Hold my beer." I climbed over the side of the balcony and I jumped off the balcony onto a patch of grass below and ran to my car. Y'all.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
About 8 years ago, I was leaning over in the back seat, buckling my daughter into her car seat. I got a strange feeling like something was behind me, so I got up to look, and that's when I see a large man approaching me very quickly, arms outreached as if he was going to grab me. My first instinct was to say, "Stop or I'll shoot." He hesitated. That gave me enough time to jump in my car and speed away as fast as I could. I didn't have a gun on me. I don't know what made him not call my bluff, but that saved my life. That day, I went home and registered for my concealed weapons license class, and I've been carrying a firearm ever since. I never want to put myself in a position where I need a firearm and I don't have it ever again. I'd rather have and not need than need and not have. And I'd just like to note it's not carrying a firearm, it's also being efficient with it, so make sure you practice if you can.
Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life.
Okay, I know I look like a hot mess, but I really wanted to tell this story. So it's about 2 a.m. and I'm driving home on the Lodge in Detroit, and I was driving in the middle lane going about 70, and then I noticed that there was a car in the left lane that was driving parallel to me, and like they were matching my speed. So I decided to slow down to like 50 just to see if they would match too, and they did. And then I decided to go like 85 just to see if they would match then too. And they were. And then I noticed that up ahead, like 200 yards, there was a car that was just dead stopped in the same lane that I was in. And the lights were on and everything like that. So I was like starting to freak out. I was like, I don't know what to do because they're blocking me on the left side. And then there's a car in the middle lane. So I quickly got in the right lane and started going like 120 just to get home because I like had such a bad feeling. And then when I got home, my brother told me like the craziest thing, and I just like, I couldn't believe it. I'll tell you in the next part, sorry. Okay, so one of my brother's friends who works in law enforcement told him that this is some sort of like human trafficking scheme, and like Detroit is a huge hub for human trafficking, and who knows what would have happened in that situation. And the only reason I was driving home that late is because I was hanging out with some friends, and my parents didn't really love me sleeping over because they thought it was a safety issue. But from then on, I started sleeping over at people's houses because driving home at 2 a.m. on the Lodge is probably not the best idea, and I wasn't going to stop hanging out with my friends. So just like be aware of that and just stay safe out there. I have more stories like this if you want to hear. I have tons actually. So feel free to let me know if you do.